Okay, so let's look into what has happened in 2026. I've not taken the past data from last year because we have already discussed that in our previous webinar also. So this is federal skilled worker. So as I told you, they always go into these special categories now. So we don't see that uh, general FSW draws happening anymore. So March 5th, we had a senior managers with Canadian experience, that NOC 00 major group thing. So I'm just trying to relate what you know into this one, but like nowhere it says that this is exactly the NOC 00 major group. But I'm trying to relate you to the knowledge you already have by saying that. So senior managers with Canadian experience, 250 candidates were invited under on this draw with a cutoff score of 429. So as you know, probably if you're in touch with the cutoff scores, like for CEC, it's always above 500, which is hard to meet. So 429 is an okay score for most of the people. But only thing is, when you look into the, like, I have some few clients who fall into this category, but the profiles are like when you become a senior manager, like a general manager or a director in a company or something like that, usually you uh, are in your like at least late 40s or 50s, right? So most of them are in 50s in terms of their age, and then they are not the ones who like our young candidates. They don't want to sit for IELTS several times and get a high score. So there are some barriers like that. So which is probably why the cutoff also came down, because it's always a competition. So similar people who are in that express entry pool, so they are the ones who will compete for this one. Sorry. And February 20th, we had a healthcare and social services occupations. That's a category that we used to have, the one that have like several so many occupations, healthcare occupations listed. So they invited 4,000 people in this draw. And the CRS cutoff was set to be 467 in that. So, which is also pretty good, right? So when we compare with 508, 509, or even higher than that. Then the other one, on February 19th, for the new category, physicians with Canadian work experience, 391 people were invited with a cutoff score, which this is what I said, you will be surprised to see that 169. So pretty much like if you're in Canada with Canadian work experience as a physician, practicing as a physician, you will just get through, right? So okay, this cutoff is pretty low, like extremely low. And then the French language proficiency draws are happening quite frequently. We saw that all throughout 2025 as well, and we are expecting that to happen in this year also. So we had one draw in February, one in March. So the one in March, they invited 5,500 people. And in February, they invited 8,500 people with a cutoff score of 397 and 400. So you see, that is also like comparatively very, very low. So the other good news I need to give you is I also have few clients who are trying through this pathway, and some of them started in 2025 itself. They did not speak a word of French by that time, so same as me. Um, but they took the challenge, and they found some classes online or in-person classes. And then they were like, they were also busy, just like all of us, like having full-time jobs, having kids, everything going on, rest of the things going on in their lives. So, but still they were committed enough to follow the lessons and then uh, allocate some time from their schedules to learn French. And I can see within a period of like 8 to 9 months, they have come to the level level of the CLB level that's required in the French language proficiency stream. And some of them have already sat for the exam and got invitations as well. So this is also another path. If you think that you are capable in doing that, I think that's another path that people are trying. So the good news is others are trying and they have there are some success cases. So why not you? And also, like, if you learn French, that's going to be an asset for you all throughout your career if you live in Canada, especially if you're trying to secure a government job, that will come in handy. Then let's get into the Canadian experience class. Most of you probably know about this one. So having at least 1 year work experience in Canada in one of these skilled tier levels, and having, of course, like if you carry your um, highest qualification from a non-Canadian institution, you have to carry the ECA report. And CLB 7 if you're tier 0 or 1, CLB 5 if you're tier 3 of 2 or 3. So the good news is CEC cutoff, as you know, last year, it at some point it even went up to like 530s, but then it fell down to 520s, 24, 29, that kind of, in that range. And now you can see the scores, like for the draws that have taken place in January, February, and March. The cutoff is like 511, 9, and now it has fallen to 508. So there's a trend of coming down. So, well, that's a good thing. And we have been very successful in terms of CECs. Most of our clients who have been waiting in the pool have had hopes under this category, this program, got invitations already. So if you have fulfilled the minimum qualifications, and if you have not submitted your express entry application yet, hurry up and submit, because especially like in the first part of the year, usually always the case, there are frequent draws. So you should not miss it. And FST, so this is like for the CLB, sorry, for the tiers, for the knock codes that are listed under the trades, like contractors, supervisors, welders, electricians, mechanics. So many occupations related to trades. And if you should be certified to practice in Canada, with a CLB of 4 to 5 based on the tier, like again. So we have not had any FST draws this year. So I've not taken data to this presentation, therefore. And then the provincial nomination programs. So the express entry is it's a process, and under that, like Canadian experience class, then category based selection and FSW, those are even FST, those are all federal programs. So federal level, which will cover the entire which will cover all of Canada except Quebec, because Quebec immigration system is different. Then you also have, if you don't qualify under that, then you also have, wherever you live, based on the province you live, you have provincial nomination programs that you can apply to. So these provincial nomination programs, there are two categories: express entry and non-express entry. So if you're in the express entry pool already, you are already covered for the provincial nomination PNP express entry. But for the non-express entry programs, you have to submit a separate application called the EOI, expression of interest. So we have 10 provinces in Canada. So for all of those, they have different programs. And the number one and the essential requirement for all the provincial nomination programs is the intention to live and settle down in that province. You have to basically, they give you an invitation to apply for the PR, and they help you to get get your permanent residency, thinking that you will live in that province and you will contribute to the progress of that province's economy. So PNP express entry draws issued in this year, I've listed down here. We've had 5 draws. So, and these are the cutoffs. Why the cutoff score is so high is because um, the provincial nomination itself is giving you 600 points. So that's why the cutoff score goes to a very high level. So one good news about the provincial nomination is also like they increased the allocations for provincial nomination PR under provincial nomination program for this year. Last year it was 50. Let me get the data. Yeah, last year it was so it was a 66% increase. So from a figure of 55,000, they increased it to 91,500. So we see we could see during the past 2.5 months, they all the provinces started issuing invitations. So most of the provinces went through a kind of a revamping of their systems last year. So it had been very slow, but now they have started issuing invitations. I know most of our participants today are from BC, so and then few from Ontario as well. Maybe if you're joining from Alberta or any other province, I did not include those information, those data in this presentation, but you can always call us later to get the information related to that. So so in BC they had a draw in on 11th of February issuing 460 invitations, but what we see is always it's targeted draws. So they choose the knock codes that are having a high economic impact for their economic development plan. So these are some of the some of the requirements they had in each draw they had. So on February 11th and February 4th draws. So you see the minimum cutoff, the cutoff score was around 135 here, 138 here. So it's a little bit of a challenging score, to be honest. It bit of a high score we have had yet. Let's see what's going to come up in the months to come. So OINP compared to BC had been generous. So they issued, like you can see, on 18th of February 453, on 2nd of February 26. That was under a very special regional immigration program. So there are 4 regions they have listed. Thunder Bay is part of that as well. And those 4 regions are coming under that in the OINP. So if you are living and working in that one of those 4 regions, you fall into this one. That's why the number of invitations were low, like 26. And on 2nd of February, they issued 1,015 invitations. That's a targeted draw for healthcare and early childhood education occupations. So also under employer job offer in-demand skills. So this one is the international student stream. In-demand stream also on the 2nd of February, they issued under that regional program 7 invitations. So these are the invitations they've issued so far, and there'll be a lot more to come. OINP has also several categories. You need to first see whether you qualify under one of those. I've not included a lot of details about the provincial nomination programs here because then it has to be a different topic for another day. And then the RCIP, which was introduced last year, that's also moving. So there are several communities they have listed. I think it's 14 communities right now, if I'm not mistaken. So um, they have some communities in BC, some in Ontario, some in Alberta, and some in other Nova Scotia, Manitoba, Saskatchewan as well. So you should have a valid job offer from a designated employer in one of those communities, and also they have a priority list. So this, like, they did it from at a community level. They discussed and researched and came up with a list of priority occupations. So your occupation has to fall under one of those priority occupations, and then your job offer has to come through a designated employer. So what happened was, like, first the priority occupations list was decided and released, and then the employers who are employing people under those priority occupations were invited to apply, and some employers applied and some did not. So then when they apply, if they fulfill those requirements specified by the community, they got this designated status. So most of the communities already have their designated employer list also published. So if you have a valid job offer and have at least 1 year of related work experience within the past 3 years in to that particular, it doesn't have to be always the same knock, but it has to be at least the same tier level. So if you think that you qualify, you can always reach out to a qualified person to get a consultation and see whether you can apply under this. So this program uh, even replace the rural northern immigration pilot. So we don't have it anymore now. And this program also does not have a PNP level. So you get the community level approval and then you submit your PR application right away. So it's quite fast. Then the highly anticipated TR to PR. A lot of people are calling us and asking nowadays about this one. So first of all, to say that it's not yet open for applications, because people publish so many things on the web, and then also, like, some companies are advertising saying that its program is launched already. So we are taking up applications, but for the applications, it's not open yet. Uh, this is what we know right now, because we talked about the first point in our previous webinar as well. In the immigration levels plan, the transition of up to 33,000 temporary workers into permanent residency is one of the targets in the immigration levels plan for this year. And we are expecting this TR to PR, if they actually implement it, to prioritize some targeted sectors, like maybe like targeted skills. For an example, now healthcare is a crisis everywhere, right? So with some targeted skilled experience, and also maybe rural, because rural employers are already struggling, maybe small communities. uh, but these are all assumptions yet. We don't have the full details. They have informed us that the full application details will be released in April 2026. And we don't know whether they will open up for applications in April 2026, but it's a good thing to get prepared. You know, so I mentioned that we don't have the full details. It's not open for applications yet. Looking at how it happened in the previous time, especially after COVID, there was a TR to PR program, but that was like pretty easy program, like literally anyone could apply. with some, of course, like there were some requirements, but most of the people who are inside Canada fulfilled that. And this time it might not be the case because um, we have a crisis in terms of the number of temp residents we have here. So that's why it might target certain economic needs of the country, like certain sectors, certain rural areas, some of the small community development plans, and things like that. But it's always good to get prepared because last time how it happened was when they open it, like there's so much applications, they will always absorb into the system, and then they close the program. So just like for an example, the caregiver program, the famous HSWP program, and the home child care worker program. So in this and in that one, when they open it, they give a particular number saying that this is the number of applications we will accept. Once that's fulfilled, they will not accept any more applications. So therefore, it's good to get prepared. The first thing, you have to have your language test, whichever it is. So if you haven't done your language test yet in the general streams, you can do it and get the results and keep it ready. And if you have not done your ECA, that's going to take like a long time to get it. So better to get that also ready. And if you think maybe like a criminal records check, but I mean, this, even though I say like it might be useful or it might just get expired also because it's usually valid for 6 months. And I don't know whether you have to submit the criminal records check along with the application right away or not. But something that you can also think about. So this is all we know for about the TR to PR program as of now. And you have to always, keep an eye on it and always watch the news and maybe like talk about these things with a group or start working with a company on your PR pathway. So you will not miss it if they launch.